Okay, so like I said, if you are in, you are lucky you are in because we seem to fill up tonight really, really quick. So thank you all for joining. All right, listen, you all hear this phrase a lot. You hear parents and coaches say, hey, it's all about the kids, right? It's all about the players. But too many times it's not about the players. So tonight, what I want to do is I want to share with you the secrets of being a successful firecracker. And what I'm going to ask you to do is every now and then, I'm going to ask you to give me a thumbs up on your computer, right? So just so that I know that you're listening and I know that you're paying attention. So first of all, just to know that you are paying attention, give me a thumbs up if you can hear me and you've got your computer muted. You can give me a thumbs up like this so you can find it on your screen, right? Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so it is 6 o'clock and we're going to roll into this. And so we've got a little presentation for you and we're going to start with creating offensive success as a firecracker. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen again.
Heat song.
And here we go. All right. So
on the marching.
Okay, so firecracker softball. Creating offensive success using the FC system, right? And it's really your ability to slow the game down. So even for myself, I like to talk fast. I like to talk a lot, but it's important that we slow down. I think that we all can agree that this game gets really stressful, and especially like with hitting, right? So those of you that are hitting, and hey, if you're a pitcher only and you're on the call, this relates to you too, because hitting and pitching are the two most stressful aspects of the game. So your ability to slow the game down, right? I use a lot of analogies. So any of you that have been on an airplane ride, and then I don't know about you, but I don't like turbulence. I don't like it when the plane starts getting bumpy. And so usually what happens when the plane's a little bumpy, the pilot comes on in a very calm voice and tells us everything's going to be okay, right? And that comes with training. So for as simple as it is to understand and as easy as it is to understand that we need to slow the game down, doing it is not so easy. Oops, go back one. So slowing the game down starts with that right there. If any of you have checked out your Firecracker Softball School, right, we've got a bunch of lessons on there, and there's a hitting module on there, and there's a video called Be the Hunter, right? And in order to be the hunter and carry yourself as a confident ball player, you've got to be able to slow the game down, as I mentioned, and slowing the game down before you step into the batter's box looks just like this. So how many of you do this? How many of you, before you step in the box, take a nice deep breath, looking at the barrel of the bat? So I don't know how many of you know who this player is. Her name is Taylor Van Zee. She played at the University of Washington a few years ago. And one of her best friends and her teammates is Sis Bates, who is right now the shortstop for Washington Huskies. And she's also a former firecracker. So this is what it looks like to slow the game down, taking a nice deep breath. So what is the FC system? The FC system has to do with the way you play the game. Right? So many times you're thinking about, are you doing good? Are you doing bad? But the system, we talk about trust the system. We talk about utilize the system. That pilot that comes on to the microphone, the intercom, and tells us everything's going to be okay. Well, I bet if he wasn't trained, he'd say, oh man, I'm just as nervous as you are, and I hope we don't crash. And that's the last thing we'd want to hear a pilot say to us, right? So the system has to do with the way you play the game. Most players tell the same type of story. Right? After the game, somebody asks you, how did you do? And you say, I either did good or I did bad based on whether you got hits or you struck out, or like I say, pitchers, right? Whether they pitched well or they didn't pitch well. Oops, go back one. With our system, your story is going to change and it will show that you have a different perspective of the game. Ladies, you are all going to now understand how to sound and talk and be like a professional ball player. You will have a professional perspective. You're still going to experience strikeouts. You're still going to experience highs and lows, but you're going to tell a different story. The story of each game has nothing to do with you being a good or bad player. It's just a story. So when you listen to a professional ball player talk about their performance in the game, whether it was good or bad, because TV announcers don't just interview the winners. A lot of times they'll interview the losing players, right? And so when you tell a story the right way and you start to sound like a professional player, it's going to sound like this. I expanded my strike zone, so I didn't make good contact today. And the outcome wasn't very good. I didn't get any hits. And what do you think I mean by expanding the strike zone? Right? We're going to talk a little bit about, your job as a hitter and what that is. But when you chase bad pitches, which all hitters do at some point, and if the pitcher's doing a really good job, then that pitcher is going to get you to swing at a pitch that's not a good pitch. It's not a strike that you should be swinging at. And when you swing at a pitch that's not a good pitch for you to be swinging at, you usually don't hit the ball well, especially that little low and outside one. I don't know how many of you, especially right-handers, you see that curveball coming in from a right-handed pitcher. It looks really, really good right down the middle, halfway to the plate. And then, and it just curves down and you swing at it and you hit that little grounder to third base and shortstop. I call them bedoinkers. So give me a thumbs up if you're a hitter and you know what that's like to hit that little ground ball to third base and shortstop. And then you start hearing things like you rolled over, you pulled off the ball, you're flying open, right? The last part of this sentence right here is, here's another story. You just hit the game-winning home run and everybody thinks that you're the world's best superstar, and you're not going to tell the story like, oh, my launch angle was great, my bat speed was perfect, I kept my shoulder in. No, you're going to say this: I got good pitches today, and that led to a couple of key hits for my team. You're always just telling the story. The hits don't mean that you're a great hitter, and the lack of hits don't mean that you're a bad hitter. Professionally trained players tell the story different than the untrained players. And when I say the untrained player, and this is what you say after a game, it doesn't make you bad. It means that I want you to learn what the power of being a firecracker really, really is. So learn to tell the story this way, right? Because untrained players, when we ask, how did you do? I did bad. What happened? I dropped my shoulder. I kept dipping. I kept dropping. Right. And so that's because we hear the story told by people that love us. We hear the story told by sometimes our instructors. But I want you to always listen, especially, we're going to have a college season this year. Watch a game every now and then. Listen to the players on interviews, and they always tell a certain type of story. After tonight, all 100 of you are going to be professionally trained to tell a professional story. When I say practice function over constant diagnosing, one of the things I'm going to show you tonight is when you practice, don't try to get out of the habit of practicing and always looking for something wrong, right? You didn't hit it hard and then you did something wrong. I mean, we all know this, right? If you rolled over, which way did the ball go off the bat? Did it go up or down? It went down. If you dipped your shoulder and you're dropping and you're dipping, which way did the ball go off your bat? Up, right? So rather than always think that there's something wrong, I talk about practicing function. Practice the things that you need to do in a game. And right now, a lot of us are working on what we call these launch angles, and we've got blast metrics, and we got a lot of great things. But think about it. You would need to be able to hit a ground ball, a fly ball, a line drive. You need to be able to hit the ball from right field to left field. And you also need to be able to bunt. So function is what we do with the bat. It's not just how we swing the bat. Very important. So the firecracker offensive system, let's start with hitting. Here's your job as hitters, right? And if you're going to take any notes, we're going to keep it really, really simple. But this would be one big, big important point to remember. And what is your job as a hitter? Come game time, it's not to keep your shoulder in. It's not to not dip and think about the things you don't want to do. It is to get a good pitch. What is a good pitch? A good pitch is thigh high, waist high, inside or outside. So if you swing at pitches that are thigh high, waist high, inside or outside, you are much more likely to hit the ball hard. So a lot of times, think about the umpire's strike zone. Umpires don't always call pitches that we like. Think about that low strike, that low ball that comes in around your knees, sometimes a little lower than your knees. When you hit that ball, where does it go? Into the ground. If you swing at a ball above your waist, something closer to your chest, a little bit higher, you either miss it, foul it off, or you hit a pop-up. And we know this. If we don't hit the ball hard too many times in a row, then usually what the softball industry tells us is all the things that we're doing wrong, right? So your job as a hitter is to get a good pitch, and a good pitch is thigh high, waist high, inside or outside. You might like the inside better because you swing early and you hit off faster machines. You might like the outside pitch better, but it's not a preference. It doesn't mean what you like more. That your responsibility as a hitter is to swing at something inside or outside, thigh high or waist high. Let's say that you're all my veterinarian, right? And you're veterinarians and you love to take care of animals and you really love dogs. Dogs are your favorite animal in the whole world, and that's why you became a veterinarian. So does that mean you're not going to treat my cat very nice because you like dogs better? No, I mean, you can like dogs better, but as a veterinarian, your responsibility is to hopefully treat all animals the same. So same thing with inside and outside. You might like one more than the other, but I want you to swing at both of them. Those are the pitches you're going to hit the hardest. After you get a good pitch, this would be the next thing I'd ask you to take a note on or remember is just take a good swing. Take a good swing. A good swing isn't always something that your batting instructor or your dad or sometimes your mom says is a good swing, because if you think about it, most of the time they're going to tell you took a good swing after you hit the ball hard. But we just talked about hitting the ball hard. That means you got a good pitch. So after a game, after an at-bat, you ask yourself, did I get a good pitch? Did I take a good swing? We call that the post-game debrief, right? The post-game debrief just means, and it can, even like when you go to the dugout, right? You just got to pitch thigh high. You got to pitch waist high and you hit a pop-up. So people aren't clapping for you. Yeah, great job. Way to hit a pop-up with the bases loaded and nobody out. And if you're untrained, you're going to think that you dropped your shoulder and you're going to think that you did something wrong. Nothing makes me happier than listening to a player say, I got a good pitch and I took a good swing and I just missed it. I was just a little bit under it. In fact, if I get that pitch again and I swing a little bit higher, I'm going to crank that thing out of here. And so think about how many of you don't feel good when you hit a pop-up. You don't feel good. And we don't expect the fans to be happy with us when we pop up with the bases loaded. But remember, we're not fans. We are professionally trained players. So get a good pitch, take a good swing, and then ask yourself when you go back to the dugout, was that a good pitch? Was it thigh high or waist high? Ask your teammate if you don't know. Ask somebody sitting next to you, hey, maybe even before the at bat, hey, take a look at what I swing at and let me know if it's thigh high or waist high. A lot of you, and again, we're going to get back to baseball season, and a lot of us have like our favorite major league teams, and even in softball games, whenever we're watching a televised game, we always see the box. We always see that box that's the strike zone. And if you ever notice, when somebody hits a home run, usually the pitch was right in the center of that box. So if the ball is in the center of that box, where was that pitch? Thigh high, waist high, inside or outside. After that, your job is to make adjustments. So if you got a good pitch and you took a good swing and you popped it up, what's the adjustment? In a game, you have to be very careful of thinking about your body. You could think something about maybe, widen your feet a little bit or stay on top. But really what you want to think is, where are you going to hit the next ball? I've said this over and over in my lessons. Most men can't take it when you ladies make the same mistake 3 times in a row. Most men and a couple of women, right? And when I say that about your moms, because it's usually the moms that either have played softball or the moms that have watched too many lessons, right? And they're not protecting you as a young woman. They're thinking like all the coaches that are constantly telling you what you do wrong. And if you want to save yourself from getting yelled at, don't make the same mistake 3 times in a row. So even in a batting cage, if my fist is right here and I hit a couple of balls under and under, you are better missing the ball over the top or trying to miss the ball over the top to make an adjustment so that you don't make the same mistake over and over. Let's say that you got a good pitch and you were late on it. You're a right-handed batter and you got a good pitch and you were late and it hurt your hand and you hit a little like a foul pop-up to first base. So what would the adjustment be? What's the opposite side of the field from the first baseman? Your next at bat, you're going to tell yourself, go up there and hit it to the third baseman. Hit it to the opposite side of the field. If you got a good pitch and you hit the ball on the ground and you know it was a good pitch and you felt like you should have hit it harder, what's the adjustment? When you hit the ball on the ground, were you over it or under it? You were over it. So the adjustment would be swing under it. Again, a professionally trained player doesn't always physically make the adjustment, but they always know the answer. A professional trained player never talks about what they do wrong. I would never want to hear the pilot tell me he missed turbulence class. I would never want to hear my veterinarian tell me that they don't do very well with cats, right? They're human too. I always want to hear a professionally trained voice. And that's how we tell the story. So when we make adjustments are made game to game. So let's say, a lot of times we play 2 or 3 games on a Saturday in pool play, and you had that first game. And let's say the very first game, we go up to like point number 1, get a good pitch. And the first game, we did not swing at good pitches. We were anxious. We were moving too fast. We were too eager. We were too aggressive. So the next game, we're going to be more patient. And if that means that we took a pitch down the middle for a strike, well, okay, that's better than being over aggressive again. Adjustments can also happen at bat to at bat. So the better that you get at slowing the game down, you can make adjustments at bat to at bat. So you went up there your first at bat and you took the first pitch right down the middle. And I know that a lot of you can relate to that. You go up there and maybe you say like, I just want to look at the first one. All right. And I want is a feeling. But think about it. You get 2 strikes to be selective because 3 strikes and you're out. So the first 2 strikes are yours. So if you go up there not ready to hit the first thigh high or waist high pitch and you take that one, you might not get another one. If you take the first pitch down the middle, waist high, is the other team, if the pitcher's pretty good, are they just going to throw you another one because you're a nice person and they want you to do well? No. You know what pitch you usually see when there's no balls and 1 strike? You see that changeup, right? How many of you relate to like taking the first good one and then swinging at the 0-1 changeup, and now we have an 0-2 count, and now we're not feeling good about ourselves. So even at bat to at bat, if we're too selective one at bat, we took the pitch down the middle, next at bat, we tell ourselves, jump on the first good pitch that I get. And pitch to pitch adjustments. So when you really get in the pocket, you're going to be making adjustments pitch to pitch, which means, okay, I'll go to the left-handed batter now. All right. Left-handed batter goes up there. She gets a pitch inside and she pulls the ball foul. She hits a home run foul. Was she early or late? On an inside pitch and she pulls it, she was early on it. And you tell yourself, okay, they're not going to throw me that pitch again. They're going to throw me the changeup now. And you've practiced the changeup. So now you tell yourself, instead of swinging early and pulling that ball to right field, you're going to see this next pitch deeper. You're going to wait for that changeup and you're going to hit that changeup to left field. And you've hit the ball from the right field line to the left field line. And that's an example of pitch to pitch. So getting a good pitch, taking a good swing, and making adjustments are your responsibilities as a hitter. When we practice, that's when we think about body parts, but not when we're competing. When we're competing, hey, it's me against you, right? It's team versus team. It's pitcher versus the batter. But let's talk about practicing hitting, right? So how do we practice so that we know that we have a good swing? How do we practice so that we feel good about what we're doing when we enter game time? So mirror swings and dry swings. How many of you have swung in front of the mirror? And listen, I don't want you to break anything in your bedroom, right? So if you want to swing in front of the mirror and you don't have enough room in your room, then if you're a right-handed batter, let your thumb be your bat. Your left thumb is your bat. Grab it with your right hand. So in fact, if you're a right-handed batter right now, what I want you to do is I want you to stick up your thumb and I want you to grab it with your top hand, your right hand, and there's your bat. And if you're a left-handed batter, well, I'm going to let you figure out what thumb do you stick up. Stick up your right thumb. Grab it with your left hand. So let me see you all got to get in your stance. And this is what you would do in the mirror. Because when you look in the mirror, you see yourself. And if you never look in the mirror, and you can relax your hands now. And if you never look in the mirror, then how do you know what you look like? Right? Think about it. We take a swing and then we look back at our instructor. Was that a good swing? We take a swing and then we listen to our dad and he tells us whether he thought a good swing or not. So let me ask you all this. Did you let your dad fix your hair today? Did you let your dad dress you before you went to school, before you leave the house? For those of us that can leave the house? No, you take care of yourself. Do you let your dad or your batting instructor or your softball coach put your pictures on your Instagram for you? You would never do that because you wouldn't get many likes, right? So you're already in charge of how you look, but do that with your swings, ladies. Stand in front of the mirror and take a look at it. The term dry swings means that you're taking a swing but you're not hitting anything. So you don't have to worry about your C sense, right? We've got our 5 senses. You're really using you're using your C sense still, but not to see the ball. You're seeing yourself. And your kinesthetic sense, you're feeling what you're doing. So the first step of practicing is being able to know what you look like. I mean, if any of you have a role model, and a lot of players love our Sis Bates, right? Do you know what she stands like? Can you stand like that? A lot of us guys, that's what we did, is we practiced standing and getting in a stance like our favorite players. So use the mirror and take dry swings and know what your swing looks like without hitting a ball. T-swings. T-swings are important because, again, the ball's not moving, right? So we don't have to worry about timing. We don't have to worry about whether the ball's curving, going up and down, and whether it's a thigh high or waist high pitch. And what the tee does is if you put the ball on the tee waist high, you can take the same swing over and over and over. Think about a basketball player, for any of you that play basketball, and how many free throws they have to shoot. And they shoot the free throws over and over and over so that when they have that free throw with 1 second left and the game's on the line and they're nervous as heck. And by the way, remember in basketball, what do the fans do, especially in pro and college, behind the backstop? They're trying to mess you up. So you have to be able to slow the game down. And then you take that free throw with the same perfect form that you've taken over and over and over. So, you know, to be honest with you, do you need to take 200 swings a day off the tee? No. Some of the hardest workers do. No, I would say 25, 3 sets of 10, just like when you do exercise. So about 30 swings a day, take the same swing over and over. Once you feel like you've got that locked in, then move the tee around. Put the tee up high, a little above waist high, put it low, put it outside, put it inside, but use your tee. Then a lot of us go into a cage, right? Front toss. And I love to see so many people now, you know, getting front toss. So somebody just standing in front of you, flipping you the ball underhand, not throwing full speed, but just nice and easy. The thing that I like about front toss or side toss, right? Somebody's on the side of you. The ball's now moving, but it's not moving so fast that you don't have trouble timing it. And so you can, again, start to take the same swing over and over and over. Also in a cage, we hit off machines, right? And when we hit off machines, so often I see players being trained on machines that are going too fast, right? And again, anytime I describe something like this and it happens to fit your instructor or your coach or maybe your dad, it's nothing personal because I don't know who they are. But I will tell you, how many dads walk into the cage and go, how fast is that machine going? Crank it up to 65. I know she's only 10 years old, but she can hit it. And the sound out of the machine sounds like this: chip bump, chip bump, chip bump. The ball gets in on you really, really fast. So those fast machine trained players, what pitch do they usually have trouble with? The changeup, right? So when you're hitting off a machine, you should be hitting off a speed that allows you to see the ball really well and that you could take a good swing and be on time over and over and over. If you're swinging and you're early on everything and you're not able to make those adjustments, speed the machine up. If you're swinging and you're late on everything, slow the machine down, right? Or ask somebody. And yes, I am requiring that some of you are going to have to start speaking up respectfully. Here's something that I'm going to show you a video here in a couple of minutes. And again, Firecracker Softball School, FC Softball School. Take a look at it, ladies. It's worth a lot of money and it comes inside your Firecracker memberships, okay? And what it does is it teaches you, I always say, I'm going to give you my glasses and I'm going to put them on you so that you could see the game a little bit differently. We talked earlier about telling a different story. So if any of you have seen the video called 2-2-2, that means when you go into the batting cage, you can practice off the tee or off a machine, hitting 2 balls to the opposite field. So if you're a right-handed batter, where's the opposite field? Right field, right? If you're a right-handed batter and you're pulling the ball, where does that ball go to? Left field. And then you hit 2 balls up the middle. So we practiced earlier. There was a statement that said practice function over diagnosing yourself, meaning telling yourself what you're doing wrong. So if I'm hitting, I'm going to hit 2 balls that way. Then I'm going to scoot closer to the plate because we're not going to move the machine. Then I'm going to hit 2 balls that way. Then I'm going to back up a little bit and I'm going to hit 2 balls right back up the middle. Right? So that's 2-2-2. I'm going to show you a video on that in just a couple minutes. And this, again, there's a video on this. Hold your follow through. It's going to sound weird to some of you that's never heard that before, right? Nobody holds their follow through. Well, Professional basketball players hold their follow through when they shoot that shot. They're still moving fast. The game is still moving fast. But have you ever noticed how a basketball player just boom, sinks it? A pro quarterback, after they throw the ball, throws the ball, wrist down, holds the follow through. How about professional golfers? Bringing the club back, boom, holding that follow through. For those of you that are old enough to start getting in this crazy recruiting game, and for you young ones that don't have to worry about that right now, holding your follow through in your practice swings, not in your games because you have to get to first base, but holding your practice swing or for your follow through is like the period at the end of the sentence. I can't tell you how many times a college coach will be looking over here and there's a batter hitting in the cage. They hear the ball get hit. Then they look at the batting cage and they see one of our players holding their follow through. And the coaches aren't looking for you to hold your follow through, but when they see it, they say something like, wow, that is a beautiful swing. Why? Because we can see the finish, right? So holding the follow through is like the period at the end of the sentence.
Hey, Tony, they can't see the actual video. Still showing the deck.
Right. I'm not showing the video yet.
Okay.
I'm going to show the video in a minute. Okay. So hopefully you could see me when I was doing that, but if not, that's okay. Okay. So offensive system. If you're a slapper, we're going to go through this pretty quick. How about those slappers? That means that you're fast, right? That means that you've got speed and that your job, right, is to really put the ball in play. We talked about when you're hitting away, your job is to get a good pitch. And for those of you that aren't slappers, usually slappers are really fast. And again, their minds go fast. They might not be slowing the game down. So remember this to help your teammates who are slappers, because your slappers are really important when you're playing good pitchers. And their job, a lot of times when you ask a slapper, what is my job as a slapper? They're going to say, get on base, right? If I ask you what's your job as a veterinarian and you told me to save every animal that I treat, that's not realistic, is it? Because we know that you're not going to save every animal. And we know that slappers aren't going to get on base every single time. But if you're a slapper, put the ball in play, 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 put the ball in play. Are you getting it? Put the ball in play. If you're a leadoff batter and you're a slapper, don't look at one. Put the ball in play. When you put the ball in play, you put pressure on the defense. Slap puts pressure on the defense. So even if you're out, think about slappers. When they're out, they're not out by 3 steps. They're not out by 5 steps. They're barely out. So slappers, your job is to put the ball in play so that you could put pressure on the defense. Extremely important, right? Don't worry about getting on base. That's going to happen when you put the ball in play. The slapper skills, drag bunt, soft slap. In fact, for you slappers, your fastest time, and I was showing our coaches today that these stopwatches that coaches use to time you to first base, your fastest skills are going to be on a drag bunt or a soft slap, because your feet are going to be able to move fast and your bat's not going to do much, right? I kind of talk about like when you're slapping, it's like sticking the bat out and telling the pitcher, you got to get the ball past my bat. And when I tap it, I'm going to be flying to first base. And if you get me out, I'm barely going to be out. And that is pressure on the defense. There's something called the hard slap, which a lot of you start to learn what we call a power slap. And power slaps are great when you get a pitch right down the middle and you can actually hit it past the outfield. But I will tell you, ladies, that as you get older, power slaps get harder to use because the pitchers get better. And as the pitchers get better, they don't put as many balls down the middle. So we take the power slap and we kind of bring it down to a hard slap. And so what I'll describe real quick there is that if you're really fast, a lot of times, what does the other team do with their defense? They move them close to you, right? Really close. So a hard slap, all we're trying to do is really just hit a ground ball past a drawn in infield. We're going to hard slap when somebody's playing really close, maybe inside the baseline defensively, so that we can hit the ball past them. And when we want to hit a home run, we take a full swing. So I believe that every slapper, even if you're just learning how to slap, stand in front of the mirror and take a full swing so that you know what your follow through looks like. And you know, because I will tell you, most coaches, when they see a slapper take a full swing with confidence, right? Stand there. If you miss the ball, stand there like they're lucky you missed it. Don't shake your head like you dropped your shoulder and then take 2 weak little practice swings and then look like not the hunter. Stand there like, oh, you expected to crush that ball. And then what's going to happen is that coach is going to whistle and he's going to move his left fielder back. He's going to move his shortstop back. And then you come back and you drop a soft slap, right? So your 4 skills basically as a slapper: drag bunt, soft slap, hard slap, full swing. All right. It's going to, all right. So putting it all together before we get to these videos, trust yourself, ladies. Trust yourself. If you've been playing this game 3 to 4 years at least, did you know that you get a college degree in 4 years? So if you've been playing this game at least 4 years, it's like you already have a bachelor's degree of softball. Do you act like it? Trust yourself. You have the experience. You could be a veterinarian for 25 years and you're still not going to save every animal. You've got to understand what it is that you've been trained to do and own that story. Breathe deep. When you are hitting, it's the time in between pitches that allows you to do this. Watch, I'm going to take a deep breath and watch how long it takes and how weird it is for me to be quiet. Practice a breath on your own and take 5 seconds to exhale. And you're going to find it's not easy at the beginning. But if you can take a practice breath for 5 seconds on the exhale, then come game time, you're going to be able to take a 2 or 3 second exhale, and it's going to help slow your heart rate down. So that's why we breathe, to slow the game down and to slow our heart rate down. When our heart rate is slower, our mind is more clear, we see the ball better, we make better decisions. We had a great coach that coached with us for a long time, Coach Normie, and he would always tell our girls, hey, slow down and just keep it simple, right? Don't think of too many things. In fact, Sis Bates has this on her glove, right? Every year she gets a new glove at the University of Washington and she writes, keep it simple on her glove. She gets it stitched in there. Games are stories, ladies. What's your story? What do you sound like after a game? What are the words that come out of your mouth? Have you ever heard us say, think it, feel it, don't say it or show it? Are you going to be that veterinarian that walks in and goes, oh no, not another poodle. I'm having a bad day with poodles. Why did you bring me a poodle? No, you're never going to say that, right? Oh no, she's an off-speed pitcher. Oh no, she's got a rise ball. I can't hit her. No. What is your story going to start to sound like, right? What story do you tell? And don't you ever forget this, because this is the most important thing you'll ever hear out of Coach Tony's mouth. And that is that your happiness is the most beautiful thing in the whole world. Don't let anybody take your happiness away. This game is full of competitive coaches that are big, ugly, and scary, especially when they get mad. Nobody takes your confidence away. Nobody hurts your feelings. I want to train you to recognize when somebody has an anger problem, somebody has a behavior problem, and we don't have to dislike them. We just have to understand them, because if you don't understand your big, scary coach, you're going to give your power away. Nobody takes it. You give it away. Bullies don't take your power. You give away power to bullies because they are hard to deal with, right? So when you believe in yourself and you understand that your happiness is the most beautiful thing in the whole world, well, there's Taylor and Sis. Taylor's last year at the University of Washington, and that is them. I don't even know. I don't think they're at the College World Series there, but they played every game like that. Like, I don't know how many of you have seen Sis Bates dance on the field, but that's one of the things that she's most known for, right? So when you're having fun dancing, you're not thinking about all your body parts. You're just feeling the music and you are having a great time. And so don't forget, your happiness is the most beautiful thing that you could ever put out in front of you. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to finish with in the last few minutes here is I'm going to show you a couple of routines in the batting cage of what it looks like when we practice 2-2-2 and a slapping routine, right? So I'm going to set up, share my screen one more time. And we just got about a little more than 5 or 8 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it up for you. I know on the East Coast, it's getting a little late for you. All right. So this is one of our players, Emily Jones. And she just, and sorry for shooting through the net, okay, but she just committed to the University of Stanford. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it play regular speed, and then I'm going to slow it down in slow motion so you can see where she hits it, because I don't know if it skips a little bit on the Zoom. So what she's going to do is she's going to take this first pitch and she's going to hit it to the opposite field, which is left field. And we think line to line, right? So we're just not hitting it to the left of the machine. She goes down the third baseline. Now she gets closer to the plate and she's going to pull it down the first baseline. I think that was a home run. And now we don't want to finish right or left too much. So now we're going to hit it right back up the middle. Boom, right back at the pitcher. So I'll bring that back one more time. And right before she hits it, I'm going to slow it down. So here comes the ball, and you're going to notice when she makes contact with that ball right there, see how that ball's closer to the catcher? So that's why we practice hitting opposite field. We practice being late on the ball. When somebody's throwing us a changeup, somebody's throwing us outside, we hit that ball to the opposite field, and it goes that way down the line. You're going to notice on the next one, when she scoots closer to the plate, she's going to strike the ball a little more out in front. Oh, let's try that again. I'll rewind her in slow motion. And we're getting there. We're getting there. All right, there it is, right there. So notice when she hits the ball for a home run, when she pulls the ball, look at how much earlier she is, right? So we talked about that. Now, again, look where the pitch is. It's waist high. If Emily swings at that ball that's low and outside, like an outside drop, that's not going to be a home run to right field. That's going to be a ground ball to second base, right? So when she hits that ball right there, there it goes. It's going to right field over the fence. And then when she hits the ball up the middle, she's right on time. So you see the ball up the middle is later than the earlier one than the late one. And that's why the last ball that we hit into the cage is up the middle. We want to finish knowing that we've hit the ball to the center of the field and we're not just hitting everything to the opposite or the pull sides of the field. So when you get in the batting cage, challenge yourself to hit 2 to the opposite field, 2 to the pull side, and 2 up the middle. And then when you get good, go to a 1-1-1. Hit 1 ball to the left, 1 ball to the right, 1 ball up the middle. And if you're a right-handed batter, you're always going to start with the opposite field first. So you're going to hit 1 ball to the opposite field, right field, 1 ball to the pull side, and then 1 ball up the middle. All right. So that's what 2-2-2 looks like. All right. I'm going to bring one more video before we wrap it up. And this is Skylar. All right. I'm going to let this play. And so this is what the left-handed skills look like for any of you slappers. Her routine is she's going to work on a drag bunt. And notice how she walks back calmly. So many slappers move too fast. They're always in a hurry. Now she's going to soft slap. She's just tapping the ball. That's what you do off of really tough pitchers, the hardest pitchers around. Just tap the ball. Here's her hard slap. You're going to see her slap a little bit harder. And now everybody thinks that little Skylar's just a slapper, so they bring the outfielders in and watch this swing. And do you see that follow through? Mwah. That's the period at the end of the sentence right there. What does your follow through look like? So I'm going to bring it back one more time. We're going to look at her drag bunt. All I want you to notice, slappers, is that she's out in front of the plate. Her bat is in front of her body. And that's where we make contact with the drag bunt. Okay, when she soft slaps, and these boxes are a little bit short, so you might have noticed her foot went past the line, but it's not a regulation box. These are those hitting mats. And we'll bring back her soft slap. And all she's doing here is just tapping the ball. Tap. By the time that ball even reaches the glove of the fielder, she's already going to be 4 steps down the line. Her hard slap, we're going to see her slap a little bit harder. So look at the ball come off the bat. And she's not swinging hard. She's still got pretty fast feet. Now everybody's drawn in. Let's say the bases are loaded and we don't just want to slap back to the shortstop and be able to have them get a force out at home. So now we get a pitch right down the middle. And I will tell all of you that when you hit a line drive up the middle, or you hit a deep fly ball to left center or right center, no matter what your coaches are teaching you, no matter what you think you're doing with your swing, I want you to look at this swing. I want you to look at how it looks like. I know she's in black, but it looks like this bottom arm. I don't know what that was, who did that, but okay. So her bottom arm looks like she's punching. Her back leg is bent. Her front leg is firm. Her head's right on it. After she hits it, she extends her arms and she finishes the swing to her follow through. Okay, we're at 40 minutes. That's it. I don't want to keep you out too long. So that is offensive success within the Firecracker system. Please do me a favor. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Firecracker Softball on Instagram. Your parents, get them to follow us on Facebook. I know that's an old person's social media. Follow us on Twitter. We put a lot of things out there to help you be the best person that you are. I promise you that everything about the Firecrackers is to help you be the best that you can be. And remember, the most beautiful thing in the whole world is happiness, right? So do me a favor, give me a thumbs up if you understood everything tonight and you got something out of this session and you want to do this again. Good, keep them going. I got to switch screens, keep them going. All right. Thank you so much for joining the call. You know, I don't know how many people couldn't get in tonight, but we sold out tonight. So congratulations on getting in, and we'll do this again on another Wednesday or another Tuesday. So I appreciate all of you. Thanks again. Have a good night, and I'll see you next time.
Thank you.